Once upon a time, there was a magical kingdom called Camelot, full of brave knights and enchanting wizards. At the heart of Camelot stood a grand castle, guarded by the noble king and his loyal knights, who sat at a big round table, a symbol of unity. In this land, everyone lived in peace and harmony. The kingdom was a magical and prosperous place, where loyalty and chivalry reigned. Wait, Mia, this is a US history lesson. Why are we reading this book? It's just a fairy tale. Oh, right! John F. Kennedy's presidency during the 1960s is sometimes compared to the magical kingdom Camelot. What do you think this says about how people remember Kennedy's time in office? During an era of many challenges like the Cold War, Kennedy brought a sense of optimism and hope to the American people that reminded many of the magical, idyllic kingdom of Camelot. But what made Kennedy's presidency so legendary? Let's find out by going on a quest to learn about Kennedy's presidential campaign, his policies, and his response to rising Cold War tensions. Our adventure starts now. In 1960, John F. Kennedy, a young senator from Massachusetts, embarked on a noble quest to become President of the United States. Kennedy brought a distinctive charm to the presidential race. He was a young and handsome war hero from a prominent family, embodying the spirit of a modern-day knight. During his campaign, Kennedy captured the nation's imagination with a plan he called the New Frontier, a bold promise to address the nation's challenges and seize opportunities for advancement. He wanted America to accomplish more in science and technology, like being the first country to go to the moon, and ensure equality for all Americans. He thought these steps would help America grow and become a better place for everyone. Think about the challenges of this era you've learned about in this unit so far. How do you think Americans reacted to the New Frontier? The New Frontier gave Americans hope that they could overcome challenges of the Cold War and unify under a common dream for the nation. Due to the growing popularity of home televisions, Kennedy was able to share this vision with millions of Americans. Television was like a powerful sword in Kennedy's quest for the presidency. How do you think television can be an important tool for political campaigns? Television allowed Kennedy to connect directly with American voters in a way that had never been done before. His charismatic speeches and youthful energy were broadcast into homes across the country, increasing his popularity by making him a familiar and trusted figure. This use of television was revolutionary and showed how powerful media could be in shaping public opinion. Due to his adventurous New Frontier vision, charming personality, and clever use of televised campaigning, John F. Kennedy won the hearts of Americans and was elected as the 35th President of the United States. So let's take a look at some of Kennedy's policies that helped turn the US into a real-world Camelot. One of his major focuses was civil rights. He wanted every American, regardless of their skin color, to have the same rights and opportunities. Kennedy proposed a plan for a major civil rights law that would guarantee equal access to public spaces and voting rights for all Americans, regardless of race. Kennedy's plan inspired the later Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed racial discrimination and segregation. Another one of Kennedy's major policies was the establishment of the Peace Corps, a program that sends American volunteers to work on projects in education, health, and environmental conservation in developing countries. How do you think Kennedy's policy compared with the ways the US government approached the Cold War in earlier years? In the 1950s, US policies focused on engaging in proxy wars and expanding America's influence in developing countries. But Kennedy's approach was all about support through humanitarianism, or helping people across the world who need it. Peace Corps volunteers were like the noble knights of Kennedy's Camelot, promoting world peace and improving people's lives around the world through acts of kindness. And the Peace Corps still exists today. Since its creation, the program has grown, bringing the world closer together and showing that people from different cultures can work together to build a better future. While Kennedy worked tirelessly to improve the world we lived in, he also dreamed of adventuring to worlds unknown. Kennedy believed that America's spirit of discovery and innovation should reach beyond our planet, inspiring his commitment to space exploration. In 1961, Kennedy announced his goal to land an American on the moon before the end of the decade. This was a call to unite the American people in pursuit of a monumental achievement that would push the boundaries of human potential and knowledge. By 1969, his dream came true when the US became the first nation to land on the moon. But we'll talk about that soon. Through his focus on civil rights, the establishment of the Peace Corps, and the daring goal of space exploration, President Kennedy inspired America to dream big, ensure equality, and reach for the stars, shaping a vision for the nation that continues to influence us today. How do you think these three policies contributed to Kennedy's presidency, being compared to Camelot? Like any legendary leader, President Kennedy faced tough challenges that tested his leadership. One of his biggest challenges was the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, an event that nearly turned the Cold War into a full-on nuclear catastrophe. The crisis started when the Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, which is very close to Florida. This was scary because those missiles could easily reach the US and cause massive destruction. While some members of the government pushed for a military solution, President Kennedy chose to be patient and consider all of the possible solutions to the crisis that could avoid war. Kennedy showed that patience and careful thinking are really important strategies when making wise decisions under pressure. Can you think of a time when you had to be patient to make a good decision? Instead of attacking Cuba or doing something that could start a war, Kennedy chose to be careful. He set up a naval blockade around Cuba, which means the US Navy stopped any ships going to Cuba to make sure they weren't carrying more weapons. Kennedy also worked with the Soviet leader, Nikita Khrushchev, to find a peaceful solution. For about 2 weeks, people all over the world were really worried about what might happen. But in the end, Kennedy and Khrushchev made a deal. The Soviet Union promised to take their missiles out of Cuba, and Kennedy promised not to invade Cuba. Kennedy also agreed to remove some American missiles from Turkey that were close to the Soviet Union. Why do you think Kennedy's response to the Cuban Missile Crisis increased his popularity and became a part of his legacy? The Cuban Missile Crisis ended without a fight, and a nuclear war was avoided. Kennedy's choice to negotiate with the Soviets instead of resorting to fighting showed real leadership. This reinforced the image of peace that contributed to the Camelot legacy of Kennedy's presidency. Through his ambitious policies and charismatic leadership, John F. Kennedy offered Americans the promise of a peaceful future. However, In November 1963, the American Camelot came crashing down. Kennedy was assassinated while riding in a convertible car with his wife Jackie in Dallas, Texas. This moment of loss reverberated around the world, leaving a lasting impact on the nation and the global community. Just as Camelot is remembered as a time of peace, harmony, and magic, Kennedy's presidency, while brief, is cherished for its role in shaping a brighter future for America. But remember, shaping the future begins with understanding the past.
Hey, hey.